we are live. Can you believe this? Ian and I in one frame together. We are here. Juliet plays Roblox. Nice to see you. I'm not going to lie. We were busting up laughing about this comment right here before we jumped on. So real quick, we're going to try to keep this really good points today. We got some good stuff happening. Ian, welcome, man.
Oh my god.
It's good to see you in person.
It's good to, stop. Really? You're ridiculous.
Yeah, we're together. So we're in Dallas right now.
Yes.
Anytime. So we're at Tom Ferry Summit. So it's like a coaching stuff.
Real estate agents, all about the market. And so that's part of what we're going to talk about today. That'll be real good. Yeah,
a little bit about what we'll talk about today. And what's great is, so what's funny is like anytime Ian and I go to town and we're going to be the same place, we try to like just go together. So
makes sense.
Yeah, we're like two brothers. It's all right. In fact, I'm going to text
North
Jason.
And South brothers.
Yeah, I'm going to text Jason Pantana that we're brothers. See if he knows, like we're actual brothers. See if he knows the difference.
I'm sure you won't.
We're paternal.
He'll believe it.
Paternal, is that what they call?
Paternal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So, I'm excited today. So like I said, we're in Dallas right now. Ian got a major shout out on stage from the Tom Ferry ecosystem for his TikTok.
Yeah.
So if you're not following this guy on TikTok, I don't do the TikToks.
The TikTok.
Is that what it's called?
Like
TikToks?
the Facebook, the Insta, the TikTok.
Yeah. So
the new one's Be Real. Have you seen that? I just signed up for Be Real. So if you're not on there, you got to get on there. That's where all the Gen Zs are. That's where
did they steal your
Juliet plays Roblox is. She's on Be Real.
Do they steal your information?
No. So there's no filters, none of that garbage. It's like once a day they make you take a picture and they do the front and the back. So it's wherever you're at in the moment, and that's all you get to share. It's pretty cool. So
nice.
Will that relate to real estate? We're about to find out.
We'll find out. I'm sure somebody will.
Somebody will, like me.
Hi. Oh, Angela Payne. Angela, come on, man. Like, I really like the Juliet plays Roblox. I think we're gonna this is gonna be the comment we're gonna keep on.
Just
the whole
leave
time.
it up.
That's good. So a couple really cool articles that I saw recently. So we're here in Dallas right now, and what we're really talking about, the eyebrow man will find you. Who's the eyebrow man? Is that a Roblox thing?
It must be.
It must be. I don't know Roblox.
I don't either. I have it, and I've never played it.
My son would have come rolling up right now and tell me all about it. But so what's interesting, I want to talk about the market real quick. So we're here in Dallas, and a couple cool takeaways that I took away today from was at KCM, keeping current matters. Keeping current matters. There's really four pieces. So a lot of people are talking about crash and all this stuff, and they keep coming up with Rev. We're going to go see him today. We're going to do a live stream with this guy, Reventure, today. So we're meeting at we got to find the apartment complex that he's at downtown
probably near
Dallas
somewhere,
so we can do it. But what's interesting about some of the data that comes out is really, if you look at, so many people look at the 2008 crash and you got the clips up.
Yeah.
There was four pieces that I think that people are missing right now. And when they're coming up with all this data, look, prices are expensive, rates are high. And people have gotten fatigued over that. We saw 20-30% increases in our market in a 2-year time frame. So people are stressed out over that.
They've been stressed. And I think when you're shopping for a house and all of a sudden the very next day, essentially somebody comes back and says, yeah, it's going to be another $500 a month if you want this same house. That's stressful.
And that's just the interest rate.
And that's just because of the interest rate.
Right.
And I think that's a big factor that a lot of people don't really understand.
Yeah. So a couple of things that I took away too today, and there's things I've thought about. One of the things is and I've talked about the most, and people everyone that puts up this content or this information about the market crashing, they never want to talk about the amount of millennial buying age people there are coming into the market. And right now it's still at the highest it's ever been. And nobody wants to talk about that fact. We're going to see that for the next few years. And by the way, I want to hear where you're coming in from today. Angela, where are you from? I think you're in Austin, right? So I want to hear from you in the chats where you're from real quick. So that was one piece of it. So we still have a lot of people in the buying age. If you look at as of right now, one of the key factors of the 2008 crash was the amount of people that lost jobs, right? We're still pretty high up in the unemployment rates. Austin's just announced their 2.5. It's the lowest they've been since the pandemic. Let's change this to here. Yes.
Yeah,
so
this is a good one. This is the millennial one.
Yeah. So this is the millennial slide. And so this dark bars in the middle are showing where we're at really with the amount of millennials currently in the buying age. And that's something that I think people just don't get.
I think that's one of the questions. How many of you are millennial aged that are looking to buy or sell real estate? Because I think he said, so this wasn't just Keeping Current Matters. This was the CEO of the company, Keeping Current Matters. And all they do is study the trends in real estate. We also had the CEO of Realtor.com, Tomo, which is a mortgage company, Boomtown, which is a real estate CRM company. All of these people were at this event sharing their data, their insights, their forecasts. And so this was one of those charts. And he said 81% of people in the market right now are millennial age, outside of your institutional buyers, which we talk about all the time. But 81%, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And how much longer is that going to be, right?
And then if you look at the chart that we have up here, it's going to be really for the next 10 years, and then it starts to decline. Yep. The thing we have to worry about, I think, in long-term investments, though, because that your time in the market will always beat your timing of the market, right?
Yes.
So if you
wait, you got to say that one again. That's a really, really solid tip.
Yeah. So your time in the market. So like Graham Stephan or whoever you listen to, financial people will tell you to buy to the dollar cost average, right? So if you buy a stock at $60, tomorrow goes down to 55, you buy it at 55, a couple shares here and there, like you're doing a dollar cost averaging. So you're putting your money in there and it's going to do, here's the camera. It's going to do this, right? And what's interesting is I had a conversation with somebody this morning. They were talking about, if you bought a home like in 1990, regardless of the crash, your values are higher. So it's the time in the market.
If you bought a home in 1990 in the Austin, Texas area, for example, let's say you're spending $180,000, right? That's realistic for that. I mean, it may even less, a little less. Yeah. So $180,000, $120,000, you're able to grow. That equity has been growing this entire amount of time. Oh, somebody in Dallas was abducted.
No, not good. Look at that Tesla stock will split today. We should probably buy some.
Oh, I was going to say, we're pretty heavy in there, right?
Yeah.
All right. I was like, wait a minute. Really? You don't have any Teslas?
I have a lot of Teslas.
Okay. I was like,
that's one of those ones where it's like, okay, I'll buy when it's like under 7. Try to hold it as long as I can till 9, sell it at 9, buy it back at 7. I mean, you don't make as much money that way, but I think the longer you're in the market, so it's the same thing in real estate.
It's the same conversation.
And so, I mean, but there's a lot of people who purchased homes in 2008 who are now finally like break even or making in the spot to make money. And yet the prices are coming down right now. Now,
I want to talk about Ian's comment in a minute.
Okay. Prices are coming down, but if you think about it, the people that purchased that have been buying over the last 10, 15 years are not the same people that were buying in 04, 05, 06. So the loan types are different. I know you've heard that over and over, but that really does make a huge difference because if you're putting 20, 30% down, 15, 10% down, but you have equity baked in, right? Yeah, you might lose money if you sold right away.
Yep.
But that's the whole point of being in the market for a while.
Well, this actually speaks to that comment that just came up. This one down here.
Oh, Ian's comment.
Yeah, down 2 more.
I thought Kevin was handling the millennials in the
K-verse.
Yes,
he's playing Roblox right now. That's one of the early metaverses. I mean, I guess Minecraft was like the first big metaverse.
What is it? Why do you think? Why would you want to hold any asset while it drops?
So this is a really interesting conversation. Asset.
Why would you want to sell it while it's dropping?
So one, why would you want to sell it?
Yeah.
While it's dropping, or sorry, not why would you want to sell it, but why would you want to let go of something that's an asset that could or is bringing in income? If it's an asset, it's bringing in income. If it's a debt, if it's something that you have a mortgage on, that might be a different conversation. But if you have it as an asset and it's an income generating property right now, for example, there are a lot of people that their rental rates went up, taxes may or may not have hit them, and they're making way more money, even though the market's down. So it wouldn't make sense for them to sell it in this market.
Yeah. So why would you want to hold an asset while it drops? Well, the thing is, a prime example. I realize that I don't understand stocks as well as I do. So I'm better off holding long-term versus trying to buy and sell But here's a prime example. I bought Costco stock. I had a ton of Costco stock because I worked at Costco a long time ago, a ton of it. We're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars of Costco stock.
Yeah.
Well, back in like the end of 2019, the stock dropped precipitously month over month. And so I was like, crap, I better get out of this before it keeps dropping. I sold and liquidated a couple $100,000 worth.
Yep.
At $190 a share. Look up Costco stock right now, 530.
530. Oh my goodness.
So I understand real estate a hell of a lot better than I understand stocks. But how could I have known that the C word was coming and pushing people to buy more Costco products, But I think that's the point, is if you're going, and here's the thing, people are, with this comment, people are assuming it's going to continue to drop. I think it will continue to drop slightly. But I think here's where the consensus was, and you might have the slide there, was that a typical year. Oh, stop the share. Okay. Here you go.
And I'll look for it.
So in an average year in the Austin area, we were seeing a 6 to 9, maybe 12% increase. 12% was like really high. Yeah, that one.
Perfect.
So what happens is in this chart, it's kind of hard for you to see on this because we're a little bit farther away. But in 2021, so this is what experts are estimating that we're going to see as far as the entire market, not specific to one area.
Not specific to Austin.
But if you look at the one number, we saw for this year, they're predicting a 9% year over year increase. So that's the whole year.
But let's pause there for a second. Some of that is still new builds being that haven't closed yet, right? Or resale that have been under contract, maybe elongated, or luxury homes. So so that's why the numbers are going to deflate a little bit.
Right. And so, but now they're anticipating over the next 4 years, only a 3-4% increase year over year. So we saw, I think what people get confused, we saw such a high increase in such a short amount of time. They're automatically equating that to the 08 and what happened after 08. But again, you have solid buyers who purchase, people who have equity in their homes. I'll remove
Stop that share.
People who have equity in their homes. Like, here's the deal. So prime example, like I said, I had a client who purchased a home last year. She wasn't my client when she purchased the home. And I've talked about this last week. I miss seeing Ian mute his fancy mic. I agree, man. Here, mute it real quick. Just kidding. So she had equity in the home, even though she bought it a year ago. But people around her were panicking and dropping their prices significantly. And I think the problem is sellers who need to get out right now have to get out for specific reasons. And I want to talk about how 2020, the end of 2020, we were talking about all these foreclosures for forbearance and why we might see more foreclosures coming forward. So, but think about it. So maybe some of the people who are selling right now are people that would have sold at the end of 2020 or the early 2021, but they got forbearance. They didn't have to, they lost their job or whatever. And now they're trying to sell at the end of this year because the market's gone up so much. So I think, that's probably anecdotal more than anything, but I think that, potentially, you might have, you have it right there.
I have it up.
So here's a foreclosure slide. So here's all the foreclosures that we've seen year over year over year. So the middle of these bars you're looking at 08, 09, and 010, or the highest parts of this. 3 million. And somebody had made a comment, Jeff Underwood, thank you, on my last video I did yesterday, or my video that came out yesterday. He commented, well, I had said that the market crashes quickly, and you have somebody out there that says it takes 3 or 4 years for a market to crash. I want to make a really good point. Jade, make sure you put this in here in the clips. I want to make a huge point about this. My response to Jeff, thank you for writing the comment, Jeff. So again, the comment from Jeff was that some people out there saying that it takes years for the market to actually crash. And I said, no, wait, it crashed quickly. But anecdotally, what happened is you had foreclosures don't take very long to get to foreclosure. If you look at this slide right here, we saw an increase of inventory because it took forever for those foreclosures to make it through the process, hit the market, and actually foreclose. But this is a lot of foreclosures. But these foreclosures took time to hit the market. And then they sat even longer when you had a depreciating market. Now, if you look at this right now, where we're at, we're lower this doesn't show 2022's numbers, and I actually put this in my video on Tuesday, so watch that video. But if you look at the foreclosures that are happening right now, this chart says we're at, what was 2021?
151,000.
151. So on the chart I showed, it was like 254,000. And if you look at 2020, it was about the same, as like almost identical to 2020. The difference this time though is of the 215,000 homes that are basically 0.04% of the entire market, which is not very much.
Yep, 0.04.
Right. The difference is the fact that 190 of those have equity.
We're equity heavy in their home, which is very different from 2008, where people didn't have any equity and they had just bought a lot of homes.
Right. So what we're seeing is people that are potentially dropping that price because they know they just need to get it to sell, and they're dropping it in Austin. And not just Austin. We're sitting and talking to agents all over the country right now here at Tom Ferry, and I'm talking to agents that are like, "Oh yeah, we're still getting multiple offers.
Oh yeah,
I'm still getting multiple." Now, I think that the Austin area did a lot of things wrong recently, and we can talk about that. And we'll talk about the budget, which we're going to talk about soon. But I think Austin is a catalyst for some of the things that even articles I read that I wanted to bring up on this channel. They're talking about like the 5 markets that are dropping their prices the most.
Austin's in there.
No, it's not.
Whoa.
There's an article.
It depends on who says it.
Yeah.
I think Zillow said it.
So there's a Zillow article, or an article I just read yesterday I wanted to bring up for a video in the future. And it was like the 5 markets that saw over 50% price decreases. And Austin was not on that list. So, or not 50%, but saw 50% of the homes price decrease total. So, I mean, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence here, but I think if you're looking at kind of the fundamentals, it's going to be hard for us to see the actual crash that people are calling for. Does that get it wider?
It does.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. That's a little better. Okay.
Come on, Ian.
Listen.
Look at this. You get 2 people side by side, so it's easier to have a conversation and actually do 2 things at once.
I like it.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So we'll talk about the one above it, but didn't the government affect foreclosures because they allowed homeowners to not pay their mortgages? Yes. And so if you think about it, we probably would have had a lot of foreclosures that would probably be hitting the market right now, or probably hitting the market late last year. And so that's the thing, though, prices probably wouldn't have increased as much had we'd had those foreclosures.
Right.
They would have been back down to the 10, 15% mark versus the 25 they were at, or 30, whatever they hit in Austin.
One of the bigger differences is people nowadays seem to have a lot more stored cash, right? Or access to cash, where in 2008, as companies were laying off, no one was prepared. No one had educated them that something like this might happen. And this time around, a lot of people they don't like it, but they're better prepared, or they have equity in their home, or they have flexibility to be able to sustain. But like you had mentioned before,
think about it, there's so much more news about the crash, so people are prepared.
There's a lot more information. Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's good. It's fine. There's a lot more information. People are able to pivot a little bit better, and because they're so equity rich or equity wealthy, I don't think it can hit as hard. And this chart is that kind of indicator.
I mean, and if you go back to that one chart that showed the price increases over their projection, I mean, you're talking a lot of economists. They pull a lot of economists to come up with this one here.
This one.
Yeah. So if you look at this, I mean, we're looking at over the next 5 years. Why would you? The question that I think it was Ian had written. Why would you hold an asset while it drops? I mean, a lot of economists are basically saying it's going to continue to go up. It's just not going to go up at the same pace we saw the last 2 years.
Yeah. And I think when he said an asset, I don't know if he was talking about, I don't know what he was referring to, but I'm assuming real estate is a real estate channel. So, again, I've got a lot of people that are not cashing out. They're excited that the rents are rising as long as the tax burden isn't outpacing the increase in rent.
Yeah. So I want to get your take on this. So, Jaden, I want to get your take on this. So this article is from the Austin Business Journal, and this is talking about the Austin's new budget. So Austin has their new proposed budget.
Oh, it was 91%. Equity built up.
Oh, here, let's add this real quick. I think this is really important to look at.
Yep.
All right, come back to that clip. Yeah. So only about 250, so this is what I said, 215,000 homeowners are facing possible foreclosure in the second quarter of 2022, or just 4/10, which is, like I said, of 1%. So 58 million homes. Of those facing foreclosure, 91% at least have equity built up in their homes.
Right. So should not have to go through foreclosure as long as they're educated or take advantage of resources.
Well, I mean, do you think, I don't know this because I haven't thought about it in a while, but are they still doing like forbearances and things like that?
I don't know if they'll continue.
Yeah, I think that would definitely change things if they did.
It is. And yeah, it's a scary thought to say, oh, no, we'll give you more time. Oh, no, we'll give you more time. And then just keep doing that, because at the end of the day, the debt will, the debt will ring true, or toll.
Well, speaking of debt, I don't want to get too crazy in this topic today, but the Biden administration is now talking about or proposing eliminating, it was like $10,000 for people that make up to $125,000 of student loan debt. Yeah. And then secondly, if you did a Pell Grant, it was $20,000. So, I mean, that's just going to add to, like, how does that debt get erased?
Here's the question. How many people are not buying their first home due to student loan debt?
A lot. I mean, right? I have family that have $200,000 in debt.
So think about it from, a business perspective, which is what the government's trying to do.
Right.
And if you say, okay, if I clear this out, they'll be more qualified borrowers. And just hear me out.
No, but Jeremy wrote, I identify my mortgage as a student loan.
Nice. But they more qualified borrowers so that they can now purchase a home. And now the government has you for 30 years.
Right. But if you think about it, those people still have the potential, because they went to college, have the potential to make more money.
That's not going to change.
Right. But if you think about it, if you and I both went to college, but let's say I went to college and you didn't, and you worked your butt off.
Let's say you didn't and I did.
Okay, let's reverse it. Whatever. One of us went to college and the other didn't. One of us went off and did a trade job or figured it out and created a company. And I've paid taxes the entire time and all that. I didn't pay. And now I got to pay off somebody else's debt that they incurred while I worked, while they got an education, and they have the ability to go and make more money potentially. I think a lot of people would say that's unfair. Now I'm not saying, I'm just like bringing that up as a whataboutism, but
what if?
Yeah, a what if. Yeah, that's one thing. What if? I never want to say what if. More inflation. Yeah. So I don't know. Right below, do you think if they were to do that, number one, did you pay off your student loans? Would you be upset? Right? Would you be upset if you paid off your student loans? If you're somebody who is currently having the burden of a lot of student debt, I want to hear from you in the comments as well. I don't want people to argue with each other over it. I just want to hear from you, like what your thoughts on it overall. Be nice in the comments. This isn't a political channel.
This is not a political channel, but don't be nice. Be honest.
Yeah. Felipe
don't
says it's unfair to people who paid off their student loan debts. I mean, can I get I paid off my student loan debts. Is there a possibility I can get
How about this?
Why don't rain check or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't you just give me $50,000 and I'm gonna go buy that Tesla?
But my loans weren't $50,000.
No, I don't care. It has nothing to do with anything. I just want $50,000.
Yeah.
Well, I just want $50,000.
Here's what drives me nuts. I didn't go out and get some crazy degree. I worked my butt off through college. I worked 40 plus hours a week.
Oh, I'm with you. Full time.
Oh
no, full time.
To pay for everything. Now I know not everybody can be in that position, because if you're a lawyer or whatever, trying to go into something like that takes up way too much time.
Did you eat ramen too?
I ate anything that fell on the floor.
Ramen, Spam.
Yeah. My roommates dropped on the floor, I was like the puppy dog scooping up.
Yeah.
That
was it.
Yeah. All right.
Couch surfed.
Couch surfed. I don't know that everything. Man, can you remember the stress of being 21, 22, in college, trying to find a place to live? I mean, I can't imagine it now, but can you imagine back in the day, you're trying to find rent for $400 a month? And that's a lot of money back then. So I can't while we talk about millennials being such a big part of the of the buying pool, and what was it, 41% made up all the buyers last year, right? So if you're
81%,
burdened with all of those, fees from school and stuff like that, it does make it hard to own anything.
Well, I think I told you a couple of years ago, I remember renting out a place in Austin. It was like a 2-2, and that was $2,500 a month, and it was 4 college kids.
Yeah.
Like that's what they had to do. They had to get together and pool the money, and that stuff is happening all the time.
Yeah. Engineer says, I personally think you shouldn't get student debt relief. It seems self-defeating. What is the point of getting a degree that you can't pay off with a job? I mean, there's so many, I hear a lot of people say, well, college shouldn't be free and all this, but then if you think about it, there's people who just don't want to go to college anyway.
So when we were driving to, I guess we were driving separately.
I flew.
This guy chartered a private jet. Okay. Well, when I drove, I didn't pay for gas, but I drove.
Yeah.
I saw a billboard, and it said, and it was a school that's saying, you don't have to pay, you pay $0 for your kid to go to school grades kindergarten through 8, not college.
Well, don't you do that now anyway?
No, there's all the fees for books and everything. Yeah.
But virtually, public school, you're paying it in tax dollars. So isn't that the same thing?
You still have to pay for books.
You're going to get it
right?
from one way or the other. Yeah. No, not in school.
You have to pay for stuff. You have to pay for supplies. You have to pay for all that. It sounded like
the supplies aren't free.
All of
okay, so they're going to say supplies.
That's what it sounded
all
like.
Right. That makes
but
sense.
It could be false advertising.
But yeah, what I always find interesting. So when you don't have kids yet, but my son's 10.
That's Will's question right here.
Okay, we'll talk about Will's question. Man, we got some good comments on here. We're 30 minutes in, and we haven't even got our first article. But what's interesting is my son going to school every year. You send your kid to school, you pay for all these supplies. The school goes, we need this amount of supplies from you. So you bring this whole big box of supplies, and then half of our tax dollars go to the schools in Texas.
Oh yeah,
half of our taxes. So if you're paying $10,000 a year, $5,000 is going to taxes for schools. Anyway, I digress. But then you got to pay an endowment when you get there. It's $150 endowment or whatever it is.
Old fashioned, you owe them.
Old fashioned, yeah. If you if you have a mass comm degree, you owe me. I don't. Okay.
This Will's question is good.
This is a good one. Maybe universities should be mandated to reduce student fees. I don't disagree there. The only way kids are going to pay for these sky high asset prices if someone else bails them out of their debts. Here's what's interesting though. That's a fair point. But here's what's interesting. If you think about the millennials that are in the market trying to buy now, how roughly how old are their parents? If you're if you're 33, 34, your parents typically be 20 to
30 years older.
30 years older than you, right? So that puts them in the late 50s to 60s.
Right.
People 50 to 60 typically have a lot of assets or a lot of equity in their property if they've owned it.
If they've owned a property.
So, I see a lot, and I have a lot of clients whose parents help them out. Not a lot, but I do have, I would say, 10% of my buyers have money coming from a family member of some sort.
So you have to think about that particular statement. If their parents are 50 to 60, but they lived through the 2008.
Fair.
And they lost their job.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of people.
And got hit.
Hit with their stock. Some people's entire savings, life savings were wiped out. And then they had to reestablish. That actually sets back their offspring, their offspring.
That's fair.
And that was a large majority of the population. I don't have stats on that, but that's important.
Well, from 08 to really 13, I think a lot of people were really trying to reestablish jobs at that point.
Yeah.
Is it fair that I don't have kids yet and I have to pay taxes for public schools? Is it fair that I didn't get my child taxed this year, right? So you get a tax credit, or tax rebate on federal taxes. I don't see parents stopping that handout. That's fair. That's fair. Will.
Here's where I think the conversation never goes to, but just help me understand this. If you're buying a house in a neighborhood, and oftentimes people look at the educational system in the neighborhood, and that can enhance the value, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Circle
also,
C is a prime example of that.
Circle C is a prime example.
You go on the other side, of Mopac, and the prices are about $250,000 less on average.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, and if you have a family, you generally having larger homes. So even if you are single or you don't have kids, your price is still appreciating commensurate with the houses that these families are buying. And so it's kind of a benefit. It ends up being a net gain, a net profit for you.
Yeah. What's interesting, we did that whole conversation about schools and I didn't have to pull up an article. I literally sat there and read that while you were walking from that building over here. So we literally can see the building that we're doing this event at. And it's a good,
four blocks, 5 blocks?
Mile?
Yeah.
Half a mile. Yeah.
5 city blocks. They're big blocks.
Yeah, they're big city blocks. John S., welcome back, man. Good to see you. It has come down a lot, though, over the last 5 months. A house in our community that sold for $1.05 million. But now there's another house. John, do you live in Terra Vista? Or is it Terra Vista? Is that
Terra Vista is one of them. Yeah.
Treviso is the one I was about to say.
Oh, no. But Terra Vista has been, I mean, a lot of these places in all the suburbs have been hit. But yeah, Treviso, that's funny.
Well, I mean, a prime example is I had a house in Terra Vista that we listed.
Yeah, in Georgetown or Round Rock side?
The Georgetown side.
Okay.
And we had listed it at 650, which was 25 grand less from where we should have listed it based on where comps were going.
Yep.
And we price dropped to 625. We price dropped to 600, and we ended up putting it in a contract under 600.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're definitely seeing price drops. But was that were we too inflated early in the year because people were trying to buy before interest rates went up? Speaking of interest rates are still hovering right around 5%. So,
yeah. So they talked about that today. They said that a lot of this was a result of people being uncertain about if the prices are going to drop. That was it. That people are uncertain about if the prices are going to drop further. So they're like, well, I don't want to pull the trigger for fear that I might miss out on a better deal, which is, shooting everybody in the foot.
Engineer's got good comments here. Bias side, what is the advantage of going? Sorry, man, I cannot read.
Going to debt to get a degree in history, for example. I don't mind to trigger anyone, but potential earnings and costs should be something to consider.
Yeah, I mean, we were joking about that yesterday. I was like, oh, if you had gotten a degree in this, like, how would you have done? Yeah. Our builders selling lots now. A lot, for lower price. Okay, sorry, let me back up. Man, I really had a tough time. I got it. Our builders selling lots now for lower prices than a few months ago. So yes, they are. So I just went to Highland Homes and Parton Ranch. I filmed the video there. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I did a video walking through the model home there, and I was talking to the reps there, and I was asking them, so you have more to-be-built homes coming. So they have a whole new section opening up still. And their lots for 85-foot lots were only, so it was like for 65-foot lots for like $20,000, $0 to $20,000.
Okay.
For 75 lots, I think were like 30 grand. And then there was only like 40 grand for an 85-foot lot.
That's good.
For the premium. That's crazy.
That's good.
Because I don't know if you remember this little company called Taylor Morrison.
I've heard of them.
They were selling lots for like $300,000.
Yes, I remember them.
He went like this. You had to see him. He was already $300,000. Yeah. So I think that was a lot of the problem that I saw over the last 2 years is that Taylor Morrison was doing, and other, not just Taylor Morrison, but a lot of builders were auctioning off lots, drastically increasing the prices. So if anything, I think we're leveling back off.
Yes.
From the craziness that we saw. And so if I'm a buyer though, so put yourself in the buyer situation. So if you're buying right now, I want you to drop in the comments like, hey, I'm in the process of buying. These are my frustrations. These are the hurdles that I have. I want to hear from you in the comments, but think of it put ourselves our buyer hats on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 20% to put down on a $500,000 house.
Yep. Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Do you instead, so you're having trouble finding a property, right? So what are your feelings looking for a $500,000 house right now in the market? I want to hear what
are we talking about just in relation to the lots or just the house in general?
You need a 3 or 4 bedroom house. You may have a kid and you need space and you want to be close-ish to town, right? What are your feelings right now trying to buy a $500,000 house at a 5% interest rate?
Obviously, you're cut down a bit with the amount of house you can buy. Your options are going to be pretty limited with that interest rate. However, builders are offering so many incentives. And if a lot ends up being one of those incentives, then I would take the premium lot because the value of land far exceeds the value of the house long term.
Right. Well, so if I'm stressed out looking at this, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the market's going to crash because I didn't even put that part in there, but everybody's talking about how crazy the market is. And I go to look at a home with a realtor right now. Yeah. Or let's say I don't. Either way. Yeah. And I'm looking at properties that have been on the market for 45 plus days, right? That are right at $525,000, right? Which are perfect for what I want. It's not at 500.
What are you talking about? That's an easy, I'm going to offer 475 and then negotiate from there. There's no question about that.
And on top of that, so maybe you don't go 475, maybe you go 485 and then add 10,000 in closing costs.
I was going to say, if you can do the closing costs, a lot of people, so builders are doing great buy downs. And sometimes I use that as a strategy for listings as well. Like if they're going to offer great buy downs, why can't we offer it as a seller? Yeah. Right. Appliances, builders are throwing in a fridge. Guess what? We're going to throw in a fridge and a TV and all of that just to make it a little more appealing. We used to do that before.
Yeah.
Back when the interest rates were 7%.
Yeah. And so I had an agent who's not really on my team, but just came over to Real Broker. Okay. And so he's like, hey man, he calls me yesterday. He's like, hey, I'm going into, I don't want to say the name of the builder, but it was Pulte. And he goes, they're not really telling me what they're going to give. They're going to give X amount in incentives, but what should I do from there? And I said, perfect. Go in there, tell them you want more than the incentives they're offering. So if they're offering 10,000 incentives, ask for 20, and then go in and go, hey, by the way, my clients want to write an offer on the property and hit them. So if
I don't think people know that.
And that's the builders aren't going to tell you that.
Especially with your realtor, you can go and your realtor can send an offer and then they'll say, oh, we got to get it reviewed by our management or our team. But if it's not a ridiculous ask and they have margins to be able to do it, it's like car sales or anything else. You might win, somebody else might lose, but that somebody else is the one that's not watching this channel right now. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's the one thing that's really important is that everybody's stressed out about the market right now. And if everybody were to just take a step back and go, hey, you know what? Let's actually look and see because you're hearing in the media, you're hearing the talking heads like us saying things like about the market. And until you're actually in the market or until you're actually doing something, then it's a totally different story.
Do you ever recommend to your buyers to go to open houses?
Yeah, of course.
And talk to the agents,
I just got an email from an agent. Hey, your client keep my open house.
Yeah, you want to write an offer? I've had that, but like if you're having a conversation with a brand new client who's never been in the market, or someone who's thinking about it, they haven't even gotten a pre-qual yet. Do you ever recommend that? Because I feel like listening to the conversations and understanding the questions they need to ask. Obviously, that's our role, right? Is to help consult them with that, but also, like you said, you almost have to play the field.
Well, I mean,
to experience it.
Here's what's crazy. 6 months ago, if you would have said agents are holding open houses, I would have said where.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah. Actually, a year ago.
Yeah. In Alaska.
In 2021, I did not hold in a single open house. This year alone, my team or listings, we have held over 30 open houses. Yeah. This year versus last year, which is 0. That's how many X% increase? It's a lot. So I want to get to this question right here with Valerie though. Have you heard of builders slowing or stopping completely building new inventory homes in the Austin area?
Didn't we talk about that last week?
Yeah, we did slightly, but I think this is a really important question because it goes back to something that was talked about today at our event. The fact that builders are looking at the uncertainty and going, oh, hold on, we saw 2008. We don't want to do this again. So they're slowing down. They're slowing down their purchases. One thing that I saw in the budget, which I want to talk about the budget still.
I've got this. I'm pulling it up. Share.
One thing in the budget, they're trying to add more dollars to the city in order to help permits go faster.
Interesting. That's good.
That's good because that's
really
going to help
good.
affordability. But if you think about it, if builders stop, like builder confidence is the lowest it's been. I mean, remember they said during the C word that it was low, and then all of a sudden it picked back up, and then all the builders like, oh God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But with builder confidence is low, builders are going to stop building. So what's the slide here?
So this is talking about inventory. We're still historically low in inventory, even though houses have been sitting and inventory has been increasing. That's really, really, really important to know. So this is just pulled up today.
So we're doing an event in New York
next week
called No Agent Left Behind. It's a realtor event. I just got the list of speakers. You're going to be talking about short form vertical.
Yeah.
I'm talking about YouTube, which is funny because we both do YouTube.
Yeah.
But guess what? I opened for this guy.
I don't even know how that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I go before you, and then you and Trey Serrano, I guess, are probably doing short form.
Oh, cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I just got the text on that. What happened to all the comments? Where's everybody at?
I don't know.
So historically, we're still behind. When I hear agents and I hear people talk about us being historically behind, I think it's really important to understand it's market by market by market. A lot of the information we give is going to be market by market by market. Now
that we give is market.
Now, if you look at the Austin area, what's really interesting is that they keep saying, oh, we're X amount of homes behind. We're X amount of homes behind. But if you're looking, people aren't buying. You can be 1 million homes behind. If nobody can afford them, then are you really 1 million homes behind? You just have 1 million people that can't afford to buy a home.
Right.
So I think
you should pay off their student debt.
You know what? The government's potentially going to do that.
Well, if they paid it off completely, that'd be a different story. But yeah.
But if you only have 10,000 in student loans left, I mean, that's what it's at, $110 a month.
Not even a good down payment these days.
Yeah. So Valerie, yes, to answer the question, yes, we are seeing a lot of builders slow down. Let's see this one. Looking for an additional premium lot for a custom builder with a green belt view in Leander-ish area. All right. Well,
hit me up.
Hit us up. One of us will do it for you. Read the article. Let's see. Read an article this week that San Diego sales went down like 80%. It's probably, but is it 80% year over year?
I thought it was 60%. I think I know what article you're referring to. I thought it was 60, but if it is 80, that's
crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
You know what? We're actually at the conference with Bern McGovern, Dan Parker, and a bunch of other like high producing agents in the San Diego area. So we'll ask them.
Yeah. So by the way, we had to bail out of an event to come over to do this live stream. So we want to stay consistent for you. So thank you for being here. So we can do this because let's be honest, nobody wants to hang around a bunch of realtors all day.
Nobody wants to do that.
See that.
Wine.
This guy can barely deal with me. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you see all the champagne?
There's a lot of champagne, a lot of wine. Yeah. Everybody's bougie.
There's a lot of
$500 shoes all over the. I was like, what are these guys? They don't even sell anything.
I was funny as I did see a lot of people like starting to tear up. I could see
because they saw you.
No, they saw you. You're the one that everybody's talking about now. So one of the commentators went on and talked about how Ian does really good short form, right? I talked about this earlier. So Ian is going to be like a new celebrity now in the real estate agent world. So Ian, look out. But all right, I want to get to this topic real quick. All right, now Jaden. All right, so here's a really important topic. Austin Business Journal reports that the budget is now coming out. So they're putting out the budget. Here's what I really want to highlight. What would you think? Hopefully I didn't tell you. What do you think the budget for the city of Dallas, which is much larger than Austin, what do you think the budget for 2023 is going to be? Or their proposed budget? What do you think? In the comments. So this right now, so Austin is showing that they're going to be a $5 billion budget for this 2023 year. What do you think Dallas, much bigger city, is?
I mean, we had a short conversation about this, so I know it's less. And I remember reading an article about this, but if you're at a place like this, it's 175% information at you all day, all along.
4.5 billion.
That is crazy. I was going to say, 3 or 4, but almost $4.5 billion.
Yeah. Can you
for
believe that?
Dallas budget.
For Dallas budget.
And $5 billion.
$5 billion for Austin. Smaller city. Now look, Austin needs a lot of growth.
I was going to say, we have a lot of room to grow. So they might just accelerate their growth, or they might miss.
Yeah. I mean, well, so in the top.
How much of that is for trains? Transportation.
Well, here's what's interesting. So we'll go through a little bit of it. So I don't know, but we're going to go through right now. 2 million of it is going to go to open up 2 million. City Council approved nearly $2 million to fund 18 new positions. I want one of these positions for Austin's development review process. The additional positions will enable property developers to more rapidly have their plans considered by city staff, effectively decreasing the time it takes for a new project. 18. Hello, City of Austin, for $2 million. Maybe you should get 50, please. We need more people for this.
But so this is at $110,000, right? Salary.
Okay.
And
that's
where I'm pausing for a minute.
Do you have to have a degree to
do you have to have a degree?
Because my degree was in urban planning.
Yep.
Right. It was. So I could have done these jobs.
Yeah, but you don't want to.
When I got out of college, I got offered a job out of college in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Doing urban planning for a company that, got projects from the city. It was like 30 grand a year. I made more than that working part-time at Costco.
Yes.
So,
do you think they're calling in experts?
I mean,
or do you think they're calling in new grads?
I don't know. I mean, 110,000.
Because you also got to see, so this isn't the salary number. This is their.
That's what you're kind of estimating. If you divide,
well, they're still going to cut that in half to cover like benefits and all that sort of stuff. So so maybe in a third.
A dozen new team members will be hired by the city Austin Code Department to increase the rate at which reviews can be carried out. With an operating budget of $29.9 million, the department will see more than $2 million increase. So I'm glad that they're doing that. $2 million seems like a lot, but I'm glad they're doing that. All right, here's the next one. So what do you think? I can't really see the screen to see what the comments are, but so what do you think? Do you think we need, the whole point of taking $2 million of taxpayer dollars to do that would be, in fact, to lower the cost of homes in the future. I hope. That was the hope. The city will dedicate $12 million to provide service to small minority-owned businesses in an effort to ensure that the city economy is a diverse. Is that important? I mean, really? I mean, okay. I don't want to get.
I'm absolutely going to say it's important, but that's a different conversation. It's important that the economy is diverse.
Okay.
Austin is foundationally a diverse place.
Well, I say that, but when people come here and visit or they comment on the comment section, I always hear how not diverse Austin is.
Historically, it's been diverse, but like any company where tech money is coming in based on the jobs, it loses a lot of diversity because people that are in urban centers aren't able to afford to remain in the urban centers. So,
well, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of our just like tech people that come here,
specifically that, it was super diverse before that.
Yes, super diverse. Okay. The new budget. So what do you think on that one? Well, I want to hear from you there. The new budget dedicates $27 million for cultural art, $27 million for cultural arts, historic preservation, and live music funding through the city's hotels.
Okay.
So that's $27 million to hotels. Wait.
How much money does ACL and South by and any Willie concert, like how much does that bring in?
So this is saying, I think of what this is saying, there's this coming through the hotel taxes. So they're going to maybe raise how much hotel prices are, or how much hotel taxes are. Because Airbnb is like 7 or 8% you have to save to pay the city. But so the new budget dedicates $27 million for cultural arts, historic preservation, live music funding through the city's hotel occupancy taxes. Thoughts?
So comments, how many of you think Austin is still the live music capital of the United States or the world as it used to be? And do you think that it's worth allocating any budget to remain that way. And I think that's part of what they're trying to accomplish. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that was one of the things that drew me here, is knowing that I can go almost on any street, any back alley and listen to some music. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But is it worth 30 million?
27 million. We're splitting hairs over millions at that point. Yeah. All right, let me go back to the article. The new fiscal plan will support 2.5 million invested in iconic. We're like, well, $5 billion. We're barely scratching the surface on how much $5 billion is by these nickel and dime
numbers.
Yeah. Heaps of sand, right? Every little bit creates a pile.
It does.
The new fiscal plan also supports 2.5 million investing in iconic venue fund, which is designed to help save places of cultural significance in the city.
Like
the
Driscoll?
I have no idea what that means.
The Driscoll. Actually, okay. So I forget some of the districts, but there are a lot of places. Great example, Hope Outdoor Gallery.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's privately owned, but I just drove by their new place. That place is incredible. It's not open yet, but it's incredible. And that's one of those places where if you haven't been in Austin for very long, they used to have a graffiti park. And the idea is that people that love the art can just go, because it's an art-driven city, right? Can go and just tag the walls and put up some beautiful stuff. Well, they ended up moving it from essentially downtown, west side of 6th Street.
Sorry, prime real estate.
And it was just a really cool location. And now they moved it way over past the airport, or near almost to the airport, where nobody's ever at. It will grow in 5 years or 3 years.
You can just take your bike over there.
You can.
Yeah. So Steve Adler says there's no city in the country that is outgrowing Austin. That's true. The economy is on fire. So many businesses are coming in and setting records.
Well, see, what's the KPI for growth, right? How many people are moving here? Is it how many homes are sold?
Yeah.
Is it how much money they're spending? Because that's part of it.
Yeah. Right.
Plan for growth.
One of the things I talked about on my Instagram, if you haven't seen my Instagram at The Real Jeremy Knight, I do short form content there. I don't like to put it on YouTube. So I talked about this. It includes a $20 an hour minimum wage for all city employees, a significant increase from the $15 current offered and from $18 an hour rate previously considered the year earlier. What's funny is that reading that the Dallas, because I wanted to compare, Dallas was going to raise theirs to $18 an hour minimum wage. So you make less than Dallas still if you work for the city. One thing that's really interesting, I don't know if it says it in this article, but city council in the budget, stop me if you heard this one.
Yeah.
Also something I put on my other channel, Austin City Council voted. So they're giving people a raise from $15 to $20, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. This was last week.
Yeah. So this is all in the budget. So that's what they've planned to do. So, I mean, I'm all for, helping a living wage if people are doing a job that's worth, there's a benefit from it for the city.
If the wage matches the skill, then absolutely
100%,
increase the wage.
100%. So,
or the value.
So
it doesn't necessarily have to be the skill, but the value of the skill.
So stop me if you've heard this one. City council currently now making $89,000 a year to be on the city council, 12 positions. I think the mayor makes 120 or 121,000. They voted to give themselves and the mayor 40% increase.
Yeah.
So they're going to go from making $89,000 a year to like 120 grand. So maybe I'm not with it, but city council is not a full-time job, is it?
I'm more interested about the mayor making a 40% increase.
Do you think that the current mayor should make a 40% increase? Just curious out of there. What does the city? Sports teams are nice, but it's all about priority. City council needed to give themselves a 40% raise. This is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly
Dan didn't have to stop me. He's already on it. After years of implementing policies causing cost of living and everything to soar and everything else. I mean, I think that's the other thing. So one thing that I don't know that's going to be, probably not going to be in this article though, is so they had planned on doing a tax or an additional fee for any developer. So a while ago, I said that it's really important that we lower the cost for developers to get in and build, because then that cost, every cost when it comes to building gets passed on the consumer. Now, again, that's probably going to pad the margin a little bit for these builders, but they were going to increase the fees for builders in order for park land. Now they're pulling back on that.
Good.
So they
see. I said good, but I don't know if I mean that. I'm curious where they're doing that, because that's going to be a factor, right? If you're right across the street from Emma Long, like there's already a park. There's
a park there. So yeah, so basically,
beautiful.
So what the fee was going to do is an additional fee to create more parks, right? And so that's what he's talking about, is that it's for more parks. So I don't know. I want to hear from you. Do you think that we should be making the cost more expensive for developers and people to build homes so we can have more cost affordable homes, or should we be worried about parks? This is something we had the Mayor Kyle on. He was very passionate about and was not happy that I said, I'd rather have more affordable homes than more parks. But then he said, I mean, to his benefit, he did say, well, they need somewhere to go and hang out and do things and live in a city. So parks are important, which if you've ever seen the show Parks and Recreation.
I love that show. God, it's good.
Yeah.
I will say one of my, you always collect these memories. That's the whole point of life and love and all that. You're collecting memories. One of my favorite memories is sitting outside. I forget which park it is in Austin, but it's downtown and like near the Indeed building. It's just this park. And then the Alamo Draft House would come and do a blow up movie in the park.
Yeah.
It was all free. They'd be handing out stuff. There'd be little Uber rides to and from to keep people safe, scooters and all that. And you're just like, man, you're downtown and you're enjoying life. And it's a way for community to come together. I loved it. Zilker Park. People love it. Traffic around there is horrible. So nobody goes there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, do they still do, what was it called?
Kite Festival?
Yeah, they do the Kite Festival. Kite Festival is amazing.
It's incredible.
What's the event where they do Blues on the Green?
Blues on the Green.
Yes.
Blues on the Green. That's
such a great event.
The Symphony in the Park. So these parks are beneficial, but it's hard to say how much. Not how much are they worth? How much are you willing to pay in tax dollars to make sure that they're built, and then cut that in half because half of it's going to go to some nice.
What's interesting, if you go over to the east side right now, they're talking about doing that huge development of parks and everything on the east side, right?
Yep.
Over by Goodnight. Trail.
The Goodnight. Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you go right at the street off
Onion?
No, not Manchac. William Cannon. If you go east off William Cannon,
yep.
There's a park over there by McKinney Falls. I drive by it frequently.
I was there last weekend. McKinney Falls.
Yeah, but there's a park on the way to McKinney Falls.
Yeah.
I never see people there.
No, I was going to say,
I've never
you
seen
said
it.
that. You know why? Because McKinney Falls is a beautiful state park. You got to pay to be in there, and you can't let your dogs in the water.
Oh, really?
Because the blue-green algae, they will die.
Yeah.
Like, it's super important right now because there was no rain for a long time. But anyway, beautiful park. So yeah, if you're like, that's the one that shows up on the maps.
Old fashioned says, I mean, you could put your new affordable tent home on the park.
On the state park?
No, he's being
I don't think
facetious.
you can do that. I know.
Yeah. That's funny. They should just give everybody. I mean, think about it. So where do the tax dollars largely come from? It's homeowners, right? So they know that property taxes were going to increase exponentially. So raising property taxes exponentially, they just found ways to spend the money, just continue to spend the money instead of reducing those tax dollars and making it affordable. Because if you're going to buy a home and taxes go from $10,000 to $15,000 a year, what is that? $250, about $310 difference a month in your mortgage. And now interest rates are more. So now add another $500 a month for interest rates. Your mortgage that would have been on a $500,000 home went from like $2,400 a month to $3,400 a month off of just those two things.
A lot.
So
I like Mij Ali.
Yeah.
That comment, they should just give everybody $10,000. I don't know that I agree with that because that's what the stimulus was, right? They tried to do that. And
it just pumped more money and caused more. But what's the word that it caused? Inflation.
But what I do think is, what if it was a grant for people to be able to buy a house, So that way, if it was to pay down student debt, it still helps those people. They can still pay whatever debt they owe, but now they have a grant to be able to buy a house worth $10,000. So that would be cool.
You know, what's interesting is they have
or homeowners,
right?
People that are already homeowners, and then they're already going to pay their taxes. It might help them with forbearance. It might help them with all these other things.
You know, so there, everything is two sides of a sword or a catch-22 if you think about it. So like they have like T-Shack loans and all these different loans that are like down payment assistance, but that money does have to come from somewhere.
Right.
And if you're getting a T-Shack loan or whatever in a hot real estate market, it just increases prices more. Well, and so if you think about it though, so if you were a buyer 8 months ago and you and I went to go buy a home, I was using a T-Shack loan, 0 down. You were putting 20% down. Who did the seller take? Mm-hmm. You. Mm-hmm. So now I think the benefit of this market, and why I'm actually excited about the market cooling off and being the way it is, number one, there's probably going to be a fair amount of realtors who exit the business, which is good for people who spend time working our butts off in the market. Right. Secondly, those experiences that we've had where some of the best experiences I've had are clients who were so ecstatic to finally be in a home because they didn't have the 20% down. They've been trying and saving. Yeah. And then they got an opportunity like a T-Shack loan, or they got one of those down payment assistance loans. Now, one thing to keep in mind, those down payment assistance loans, if you sell your home, you still have to pay that back. Right. But that's something where you want to keep your home or then rent it out. And this is another piece that I always tell people, don't buy a home if you're not going to live in it for over 2 years, really. Yeah. But 5 years. At least
2, usually 5, 7, depending on, in a standard escalating price appreciation market. But
you also want to purchase it knowing where the rental rates are in case you ever have to rent it.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So just back to that same comment about the $10,000. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody was 19 years old and we gave them $10,000, what do you think they're going to do with it? And it's not for me to say, but what percentage of those people are going to use that to stimulate the economy, further stimulate the government? Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to say, here's money. Let's make sure that money continues to grow more money for us.
What's pretty funny is if you think about it, over the last 2 years, people have been taking their stimulus checks. I almost said stimmy checks. Their stimulus checks and these checks and virtually going and taking it to the casino. Well, and when I say the casino, I mean they've been putting it in the stock market.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean they're playing roulette and pulling the wheel down on stocks.
I told you that was the conversation for our boat, right? We called it the stimmy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why'd you call it? Ian got a boat.
I mean, this is a little while back, but it was because we were like, what if we just took our stimulus checks and got a boat? There was a few of us, so.
Interesting.
It's funny.
All right, let's see if there's anything else important.
Ethereum, there you go.
With my stimmy, I love it. Oh man, I still can't forget that time that I heard those people talking about their stimmy checks. All right, let me go back to this. So what else was in here? While investing in public safety, disaster response, and citizens to address climate change, Kronk emphasized that budget will not significantly increase the city's portion of annual property tax bill. I think that's a lot of bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Scroll that back.
Yeah. So I think there was probably the budget adopted by City Council puts the city in a strong position to recruit and retain people. We need to sustain a high quality of service for our residents have come to expect. To invest in the success of our community, we must invest in the success of our employees, the success or failure. And of our employees, so City Council, they must be employees then. Mm-hmm. The success, not that they got voted in or anything. Right. The success or failure of literally everything we aim to do as city government relies entirely on the people who work here. And so to invest in the success of the community, we must invest in the success of our employees while investing in the public safety, disaster response, and actions to address climate change, Kronk emphasized. The budget will not significantly increase the city's portion of annual property tax bill for the typical homeowner.
So then the question is, what does not significantly increase mean to them versus to you? Because to me, paying another $1,000 a year is a significant increase. To them, they might say that's not.
Well, that's why they went from the city council making 89 to 120 grand, right? 40% increase.
Right. That's not significant.
But I mean, and this is why on this channel I've been so adamant about talking about property taxes, because I have had people that have had to sell their homes, literally sell their homes over property taxes going up.
Yeah,
because
same.
Here's what happens, and this is why I talk about this so much when it comes to people buying new builds. When you buy a home, let's say you buy a home, new construction, I keep using 500,000, but you buy a $500,000 home at a 3% tax rate, they're going to say estimated your taxes are going to be $12,000.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But the moment the city comes out and values your home, they value it at 550, 600. They do that so you have to come protest and give them comps for what things close for, which means that 12,000 is actually $18,000. Now, if you're budgeting for yourself, you actually hurt yourself, because what you budgeted for 12 grand is now 18. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge.
And so, yeah, I think it's really important that the city understands that raising properties, they always talk about diversity and equity. The people on the east side who have lived there for generations, and you have these tiny homes on the east side, 1,100 square foot, 800 square foot homes that have been there that are minorities, they get hit with a major tax bill.
Well, the problem is nobody educated. A lot of people, when they bought those houses in the 80s and the 90s, they weren't educated about homestead exemption. And so how do they know to have that on to prevent their tax from increasing so much? Right?
Yeah. It's and I think so engineers said, to be fair, the positions pay less than tech. You'll just lose everyone to the tech industry, laugh out loud. I mean, I understand having to pay people at the city level more money to stay there. Just like, why don't we pay teachers more to stay places? But again, teachers only work 8 months out of the year? No, more than that. 10 months out of the year? 9 months out of the year?
I think it depends on what they're teaching.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of teachers end up having to work over the summer or.
Exactly. They got to find a summer job. They sell real estate on the side.
Exactly.
How many
real estate agents make the best teachers can make
teachers
make the best real estate.
I wouldn't say they make the best real estate agents, but they become real estate agents.
They become real estate agents. A lot of I guess where I'm going with that is people that like to nurture and educate end up being really good real estate agents. And
there you go.
Teachers, they do that, and then they end up exiting the teaching world because real estate is right. It used to be really, really, really easy.
So stackable properties, if you don't subscribe, so your question is about commercial market. There's an article out, and I was going to make it one of our articles today. The commercial side, for people looking for commercial space, 20 to 30,000 square feet, which is virtually the size of a bowling alley, there's like nothing they can find. So the commercial side is really, really strapped hard Strapped hard. That's a hard strap. Oh, geez. Is it past midnight?
Like I said, there's just so much information coming in and out. You just got to go. Fire hose.
Yeah, but that information that I read in that article, and if you read that article, was basically saying that it's extremely hard right now to buy commercial property. So
you rent. There's a lot of rentals out there, but there isn't a lot to buy.
Let's get an office. It's too bad you're too far north. You're north.
You're too far south. What are you talking about? Southwest even. Gosh.
Yeah, I moved even further. The city property tax bill for a typical homeowner. Oh, I fucking hate this. I hate when they do this. The city property tax bill for the typical owner defined as a non-senior owner of a home valued at roughly $453,000. Let me ask you a question, Ian. I love when they do this. 453. Are we here? Let me go back to a widescreen. Hold on. Let me ask you a solid question here, Ian. There we go. All right, remove that. Okay. The typical cost for a home right now, they're saying 453.
Oh yeah.
Thousand.
Yeah.
Now they're probably saying, okay, we're giving you the tax deduction based being, what's it called? Homesteaded.
Homesteaded.
Right?
Yep.
But what's the median price for a home in the Austin area right now?
Well, and what's it going to be next year? You're still looking at easily 560 and up.
Yeah. So if you look at Austin is 633 right now.
Well,
and you take the tax base off of that.
MSA or versus Austin.
Well, this is for the Austin budget,
okay,
not the MSA budget.
Got it. That's true.
Right.
That's very true.
Because Leander's putting together theirs, Hayes. So you're talking about, and you're talking about 453,000, but the median's probably going to be closer to 550.
Right.
So when they do these numbers are not necessarily add up to what the reality on the ground is for most people. So I just want to make that point. Okay. So
I like this one. Ask the city council what their average home price is.
I think that's a very fair question.
That's a good question.
I mean, you see city council members out doing, not protests, but they're out doing like things for, events for helping people with, what's it called? God, my brain is, there's a lot of information that's hit me today. But affordability, they're doing stuff for affordability. There was a city council member who was there was a trailer park that's probably not the right term for it, but mobile home park. Yeah. That got, the developer had purchased it back and they were evicting everybody. And so they were there. So you have city council members going there to help people like that. But what do they, how do they actually live? Do they live anyway, good question like that. Anyway, back to this. We got to end this thing before I get crazy, man. So
need some coffee.
Yeah, I do. Average 453,000 is an additional 1,600. What is 60? So does it even say this right? Is $1,679 per year? That's additional.
Yeah.
Or $139 per month. So everybody's going to hit with an additional $130 a month on top of what they're already paying. So what do you think on $153,000 their cost? What do you think that actually is full tax bracket? What is that? $9,000, $10,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from $8,000 to $10,000 virtually. That's still a lot of money. $139. Who wants? Raise your hand if you would elect to pay an extra $150 a month, just because the city wants it. Let me just ask you that.
I mean, it still goes back to why are you paying it? It all goes back to that. Some people would say, yeah, I'm fine paying it, but I want to know where the money's going.
Yeah.
Other people will say, no, I don't want to pay it.
Oh,
it doesn't matter where the money's going. I don't want to pay it. Right.
Yeah. I want to go through the rest of this article just because I want to go through some of these points. But if you've looked at this, I want to hear from you. Do you think that the city, there's specific things that I think the city needs? And so I'm curious to see what you think the city needs and should be allocating funds for, additional funds this year. I'd love to hear from you on that. But we're an hour and 15, so I want to wrap it up. But I really love this question right here. So I got a new construction house in Leander, Texas, having some trouble selling it. My agent tells me it's worth $700K, but I got no traffic at $630K. Just curiosity, what part of town? New construction. I'm imagining it's probably. Did he say Leander?
He said Leander. Yeah.
Yeah, Leander. Okay. Leander.
Well, I mean, is it in an area that they are still building houses? Are people able to get a similar house new instead of buying yours at that price? That's a really important question, right? And you have to realize that as a seller. This statement right here, Jaden, probably a good clip. So I just got a new construction home in Leander. He said it was worth $100 to $700K, but he's having trouble getting traffic at $630K. If you followed this channel prior to the COVID word, I said the word, prior to the pandemic, I don't think
they really
penalized anymore.
Yeah. If you say things about wearing these things.
Really? They still monetize us?
I heard that. Anyway, all new construction is 700 plus. Interesting. So here's a statement I've made.
Yeah, but how many of them are sitting in versus selling?
Yeah, how many of these are sitting
and is it 700 plus with incentives? There's so much to it. Sorry, I don't.
No. Yeah, exactly. Well, think about it. Like if it's 700 plus and you're the builder and get a brand new home,
they pay title, they pay closing costs, they upgrade it.
Yeah. But for a long time on this channel, I've told people, don't buy in a brand new neighborhood if you think you might have to sell in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to be in competition with the builder. Now, granted, the market's completely different right now, right? So that's part of the problem that you're facing here. But the second part of this is the fact that builders can't undercut you, right? They can't offer incentives. They can't get you to buy cool new stuff in the house still. But
I told you I had that with the listing.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like the buyers put an offer in on our house. We were just getting ready to accept. And the agent texted me, never mind. And I'm like, what do you mean, never mind? I can't I mean, you can do that, but what do you mean? And he goes, and it's because the builders saw your house and they were like, we'll give you a better deal on a new construction.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last 2 years though, and so this is where things anecdotally got different, is like I had clients who purchased a home, they built it 2020, ended up closing late 2021. We sold the beginning of this year for a $250,000 profit.
Yeah. Good.
So if you would have been under contract in 2020, 2021 and closed, you probably have a ton of equity. Where a situation like this, it's a little bit harder. So that's why I've always said, don't buy in a brand new home unless you plan and own it more than a couple of years. And so you're running into the same situation that I've kind of warned people about. So I'm sorry that you're in that situation. I can't give you, honestly, because we know you're working with an agent and you have it listed, we can't give you any advice. But if we were able to give you advice, I would say do some really creative marketing.
Absolutely do some of that. I think
mega open house. What do
the videos look like for the listing?
Creative listing videos.
Right.
I would do a ton of marketing.
So question, I'm curious, and I guess he's not going to answer this, but what did you pay for the house? Don't answer it. Don't answer that. But like, I'm just curious how much equity you end up having in the house or when you ended up purchasing it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because he just said, I got a new construction house. Well, it was a new construction in 2019.
Yeah.
Because maybe it fits that bill.
Maybe you should do what I can't give this person.
Yeah,
I'm not giving this person
advice. This is a conversation that you and I are having.
But this is a conversation. Yeah. Builders, what they were doing was raising their prices.
I remember that.
And now they're reducing them to show that they're reducing their prices.
Exactly. Like Kohl's.
So
Kohl's cash.
Yeah. So somebody had a house, let's say in the 600s, maybe they could raise it 10 grand and lower 10 grand.
Yeah.
And it's got a $10,000 decrease.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how you advertise. It's $10,000 decrease.
He's going to give us a ballpark.
Price improvement.
Let's see. Okay. Leander, we don't know the neighborhood. I'm going to guess price point. I'm going to say he closed 570.
I was going to say 580.
Okay. Let's see who's close. All right. Joe says in new construction from builders have inventory.
480.
No. All right. Well, I mean, you got some wiggle room there, hopefully. Man, I would price it. I mean, if I had a listing that was at 630 on the market, I would incentivize them to go to 599. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
I mean,
it also depends on how it's currently marked. Is it stayed? There's all these other variables in there.
I'm a big fan of listing homes on the price bands too.
Yes.
So let's say a home's listed at 640 because I'm not talking to this person.
Right.
So
you don't understand that. You're not talking to them.
I'm not. But if I had a client that we were looking at a home and we were guessing it was going to be 645 to list, I would list it at 650.
Right.
Right. So the price bands are always $25,000 price bands. So
depending on the site, some of them are 50,000. Right.
So if you listed a home at like 627. Okay, people that set their price searches to 625, well, guess what? You've missed it. So I always hate when people want to list homes at like 615. Just list it at 625 or list it at 6.
Yeah.
Because you might get 615 for it, but if you're pricing at 600 back when you were getting multiple offers, so here's the thing. If you price it at 615, you probably got 615 or maybe a little less. But if you price it at 600, you probably got 625.
Right. Because people, they see the number, they get excited, and then that's how you end up in a multiple offer.
You know what I've done for vacant homes, Ian, and I'm not giving anybody advice here.
This isn't advice.
Vacant homes, there's this company that I use. I'm not going to say what the company is, but there's a company I use that does virtually staging. And then we come back through and we put artwork up or whatever in the home to help it, when people get in, they get the feels.
Yep. There's virtual staging.
I could show you some of my good stuff there.
There's all sorts of what do you call them? You can paint the grass. You seen that? You can even add it. I mean, this is new construction, so you don't need that. But there's companies that'll come in and make some changes, any kind of improvements that you need to the house, basically renovate it, and then they won't take any commission or any price until they close. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, staging could definitely help. What's interesting is I've done that before, not the painting of the grass, but I had clients that I had asked them right before, like, hey, make sure before the photos, you put mulch in all the beds.
Yes. Yeah. Did you know there's mulch glue?
Yeah. mulch glue.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
That's
so
new
you
to me.
spray it on so it doesn't go all
Since
over
the
the place.
puppies, man.
Yeah. Oh man, my bad.
They
Well,
love it.
I had artificial turf.
Oh, gotcha.
But so they didn't do it, and there was weeds all through the flower bed. I'm like, guys, we're taking photos today. These are professional photos.
When
So
you
we're
said
taking-
that, when you're like, guys, we're taking photos. I thought you were talking about talking to your puppies as you were saying
No.
that.
No.
We're taking photos.
No.
Don't you know better, Turner?
My clients had like just the flower beds were trash. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
it's fine. Take the photos. I went back and edited all the photos myself to have black, mulch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, before we list it, you
Looks
have
like
to.
a Sharpie. It's like,
Yeah. No, it looks good. I mean, there's ways to do it. It looks good.
I'm kidding.
But they, when we listed it, when people showed up, the front actually matched the photos because they did the work after. But anyway.
That's funny. Engineer says you could even take them to another house. We can. Yes.
Yeah.
Take them to another
Yeah.
house.
Well, there we go, man. We're running out of battery on this laptop. We got to run back to the event now. Ian, thanks for driving me to Dallas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm gonna take a private jet next time.
I did not take a private jet. If you've ever heard of JSX, I decided the cost to fly Southwest was like $350, and it was $300 to fly JSX. It was a 40-minute flight.
Yeah.
You get free drinks, and it's like flying private. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'll try it out.
There's no
it
TSA
was
checks,
actually
no
cheap.
clear,
Yeah.
nothing.
You literally
No
walk
lines.
right up, you give them your ID, you
Yeah.
walk over to the plane, you sit down. She asks you, what kind of alcohol would you like, sir?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't drink, but I'll take a Tito's, Oh, speaking of, Tito's invested $1 million into affordable housing. We'll talk about that on the next show.
Interesting. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Looking
there you
forward
go.
to it.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next podcast. If you haven't subscribed. And after this ends, come back and just drop a comment on this one. We'd love you for that. Catch you the next one.
See ya.
So you're going to be like a major celebrity now.
Yeah.
Yeah.